Emotion is intangible. For centuries, artists have struggled with how to visually depict feelings which don't exist physically. How do you show something emotional which can't be seen? One approach is to depict events literally, truthfully, purely, in a style known as realism. The Paraguayan Woman by Juan Manuel Blanes uses this style to show a single woman surrounded by the horrors of war. A realistic color palette is used, the lighting is naturalistic, and the depiction of the woman is lifelike. The painting tries to be truthful, depicting an event literally. Some artists, however, became tired with realism as a medium for depicting emotion. They felt that human feelings could be better expressed through an emotional distortion of imagery. And so, Expressionism was born. Reality was thrown out the window. Images were distorted, figures mangled, and color exaggerated to try and express those deep emotions visually. Euphoria, a teen drama which focuses on themes such as sexuality, mental health, and substance abuse, takes this expressionist visual style and uses it as a way to express the emotional state of the characters. In this video, I'll unpack the cinematography in some of Euphoria's Season 1 episodes by introducing how the production process of the TV series works, break down the visual approach of the show, and show the technical approach taken to achieve the desired on-screen look. This video was made possible thanks to the contributors on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get early access to these videos, please consider helping out by following the link in the description. The production process of creating and filming a series is similar to that of shooting a feature film, but with some important differences. A feature film is commonly shot in one chunk or one block, which means that crew will work 12-hour days, 5 or 6 days a week, continuously until the production wraps or completes shooting. The length of the shoot is dependent on many factors, such as the number of scenes required, the budget, and the number of different locations. An average, single-camera style TV series typically requires far more on-screen content over a season than a feature film does, so production will often run for longer. As a result, a series may be broken up into different blocks, and will often use different directors, DPs, and crew members over different episodes or seasons of a show. Sometimes, shows even shoot different episodes with independent, separate crews or units simultaneously to speed up production. For example, one main unit could be shooting episode 1 and another second unit shooting pieces of episode 2 at the same time, with the cast jumping back and forth between the two sets as required. So to maintain a coherent visual style across the series, it's common for one DP to be selected to shoot the first few episodes of a show to establish the look of the series. Other DPs employed on the show to shoot later episodes will then replicate or build upon that initial look set by the first cinematographer. In the case of Euphoria, the look of the show was established in episodes 1 to 4 by DP Marcel Rev. Let's take a look at the approach he took, along with show creator Sam Levinson, to produce the look of the series. While I was watching Euphoria, the first reference that immediately came to my mind was Skins, a 2007 teen drama series which deals with similar themes in a very direct style. Not only was the content similar, but the cinematography of the two shows both used color in an expressionist way, which visually matched the emotional experiences of the characters on screen, with sometimes unrealistic, emotive lighting. Rev describes how the philosophy behind the camera work was developed early on with Levinson. It's not really based on realism. We call it emotional realism. That's more based on the characters' emotions and not how the world surrounding them really looks. They used the content of the script to work out the emotional direction of each scene and then built the visuals around that, customizing the approach to lighting or camera movement depending on the emotional content of each scene. Rev then worked closely with the storyboard artist to plan the shots, framing, and movement in each sequence. Like most DPs, he likes going into shooting with a solid foundation, yet tries to remain flexible and will deviate from the planned shots if necessary. A mix of structure and fluidity. The storyboards are a good plan, but we were never really sticking to it. Sometimes it's great to shoot the storyboards, but sometimes you come up with something better, or something that's happening on set that's a little different than what you expected, and you just roll with it. Despite this, certain sequences, such as a long, single take in episode 4 at a carnival, were carefully designed in pre-production as a way of linking together all the characters in a single shot, connecting them in the same space without a visible cut. In Euphoria, the camera rarely sits still. The movement is smooth and often takes on a roaming, omniscient perspective, which isn't only focused on one character. Where directors would commonly shoot various shots separately and then build them into the edit through cuts, Euphoria often combines multiple shots through the camera movement without cutting. The effect is filmmaking with a constant flow and feeling of forward momentum, like you're being guided by a deliberate, all-knowing, omniscient storytelling force. Like the Expressionist painters, Rev tried to emulate emotion through his use of color, particularly in his lighting. It has to be colorful in a way, I think, to feel that elevation, but we didn't want it to go like rainbow colors or with no real system in it. So most of the time we're using primary colors, and I'm relying a lot on the orange-blue color contrast, which is a really basic one. The strong, deliberate use of red, yellow, and blue helped raise the visuals out of reality and pushed a heightened emotion into the images. Rev's use of complementary colors, which are colors at opposite ends of the spectrum from each other, such as orange and blue, created a strong contrast and increased separation in different planes of the image. This complementary color look, which is commonly referred to in the YouTube filmmaking community as the orange and teal look, is actually what I'd call a daylight and tungsten look. It comes from mixing cooler daylight sources with a color temperature of 5600 Kelvin with warmer tungsten sources with a color temperature of 3200 Kelvin. LED lights such as ARRI sky panels were used for their RGB ability to change color temperatures quickly and achieve colored lighting effects. However, Rev notes that most of the lighting was done traditionally with daylight HMI sources and tungsten bulbs, which were softened by passing them through diffusion or a textile. Of course we're using the advantage of the sky panels and LED lights, but I think it seems more like an LED lit show than it is really. Most of the time it's old school lighting and a lot of big light boxes and special light rigs that our rigging crew is suffering with a lot. Part of the look of the film comes from the large format capture medium, which has become popular recently. Euphoria was shot on the Alexa 65. Shooting with a large format sensor means that longer focal length lenses can be used while still maintaining a wider background, which you'd only be able to achieve on a standard Super 35 sensor by shooting on very wide lenses. Rev chose to shoot on ARRI DNA primes, which is large format Hasselblad glass rehoused by ARRI. They're sharp, yet have beautiful, dreamy, out of focus areas, which fall off quickly. They often used haze machines, particularly when shooting night exteriors, which degrades the sharpness of an image in an interesting way and emphasizes an ethereal glow in the air coming from the light sources, which enforces an otherworldly, expressionist feeling. As mentioned in episode 4 at the carnival, they shot in long sequences, which were stitched together in post-production to give the appearance of one long take by wiping foreground across a frame, cutting, and then starting a new sequence with a new take. To give the scene more dynamism and inject it with life, they used foreground and background elements, such as extras crossing the camera. To achieve smooth, sweeping motion, they used a Chapman hydroscope crane, which can extend or retract in length while being boomed up or down. The camera was mounted at the end of a Spacecam M70-EVO, which is a stabilized head, which allows the DP to wirelessly pan, tilt, or roll the camera by using wheels. They also used a dolly, set up on a long 300-foot track, to follow alongside the characters as they walked. They then turned around with the camera and shot another tracking scene in the opposite direction. All of these technical tools were employed in a very deliberate way to achieve what Rev refers to as emotional realism, by not trying to capture reality, but instead trying to elevate the story emotionally through a cinematic expressionism. The makers of Euphoria achieved a visual style which brought the audience closer to the emotional state of the characters on screen. The result is a show which effectively chronicles the experiences of a group of teens and tells their story in an intensely personal style. In trying to convey intangible emotions, sometimes shooting using a realist style works, but sometimes, in order to get to the deepest emotional depths of a character, capturing a feeling rather than reality is more important. Thanks everyone for the continued support. As always, liking, subscribing, commenting or supporting on Patreon would greatly help the channel. Until next time, thanks for watching and goodbye.